All right. Welcome, everyone. Episode 11 of the Philly Marketing Lab's Marketing Shtick. I'm your host, Bishara Jaude, and with me today is Joe Norton. What's up,
Heyo.
Joe? And Thomas Sands Jr.
Good afternoon.
What's up, Tommy? How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Good, good.
Good. Can't
Big
complain.
day. Big day today. We finally launched a website we've been working on for a very long time. One of my favorite brands in the universe. Summer's Eve went live today. Yeah.
Oh, it's a nice one. I love the design on that one.
Yeah. So if you want to check out some of our design work, head over to summerseve.com and buy yourself some shower gel.
It's very refreshing.
It's very refreshing. Good
I've been
stuff.
told.
You've been told. Yeah, I love their commercial where the dude, by mistake, takes a shower with his girlfriend's Summer's Eve shower gel. And then he rushes out of the house and does a whole bunch of manly stuff to recapture his manliness.
That's
Yeah.
Hysterical. I think it's one of the better ads out there. It's a TV spot. Actually, I think they ran it on TV for a little bit, and now I'm seeing it digitally. Yeah. So big things are happening in the scene here. There's a very nice. We're very excited to be talking about this. It's a new targeting option for YouTube, right? I know, Tommy, you're super excited about that. You wanna do the honors? Yeah.
Sure. I think this has been mentioned, hinted at and whatnot, but what we're talking about here is custom intent targeting
For YouTube.
For YouTube.
Yeah.
And for the first time, what we'll be able to do is target our audiences around what they're searching for on Google.com.
Yeah, that's huge. So
huge.
and they call it intent targeting because it is truly that. Up to today, or up to whenever this goes public, it's in beta right now. So if you're friendly with your Google rep, they can whitelist you for it if you jump through the right hoops and spend the right spend for a certain period of time. But it's really cool because traditionally you were able to target behaviorally or contextually on YouTube. So say if someone's into makeup, show them my video in a pre-roll, TrueView fashion. But you could never tell when that person was ready to buy makeup or when they search for specific, keywords that indicated their intent to purchase. With intent targeting for YouTube, what you will be able to say is, if that individual has searched for these particular keywords on Google search, show them my video on YouTube. So, this is amazing. So someone says, Air Jordans size 9 for sale. I can then go and serve them a video just because they did that search, which is pretty interesting at the surface. And it gets even more interesting when you think about all the other possibilities through it. And we were internally discussing what some of those could be. Can you guys think of any other ways this could be used?
My favorite thing about this is I can't help but blow it out and look at like how this affects the ecosystem. So I feel like YouTube is a competitor to television and Netflix and that kind of thing. And so I start looking at it competitively, and I feel like this makes YouTube advertising much more potent. And an example is I'm watching TV and I'm always getting these buy gold now commercials, or like some pharmaceuticals like Otezla or Xeljanz. Stuff that I don't have any need for at all. I have no interest in. I know these commercials like by heart now, but like I'll never use their product. But like, imagine if they could link up with queries, stuff that I've Googled or like bought on Amazon, stuff like that, and then give me much more relevant commercials. Like that would be so powerful, and it seems like that's where YouTube is right now.
Yeah, and it's timely too. So we met with our Google rep last week, and she was saying this is a search window of 7 days. So it's fairly real time. And if you think about the buying cycle of most things, I mean, unless it's an impulse buy, it's under that, but it's a 7-day window, which is great. So it's not a stale lead essentially, and you'll be able to activate on it very quickly. Yeah, I feel like you have something to say, Tommy.
Oh, there's so much I could say.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many possibilities for, you know, like strategic approaches here. Um, you know, we've talked about a few of them, you know, sort of already.
Yeah, what about competitive? I mean, how can this be used competitively?
You know, I think, and we've been talking about this internally a little bit. Is you know, there's lots of cases where you'd love to be out there in the search scene for some, you know, particular high volume, super relevant kind of terms, but you may not have the content to support it. You may not have the budget to be competing, right?
Yeah.
You know, maybe it's pain relief, right? And you're a small player in that space. You know, you're up against the Advils and Tylenols and Excedrins of the world, right? Money's not really probably a challenge to them,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But here's a twist. So instead of trying to get them directly on search, you have an opportunity where you can still capture that audience of people who are making those searches, but come at them from a different angle with a different style of message on the YouTube platform via video.
Yeah.
Pretty compelling, right? You know,
Yeah.
if you
And
have, yeah,
it's a richer message too. I think that's the appealing thing. So think about it this way: if you're Samsung and you're going up against Apple, like iPhone 6, iPhone 7, iPhone 8, they're very expensive keywords, and you can't change someone's opinion on switching platforms. Something so I perceive it to
With
be
a headline and a
monumental.
description.
Yeah, well, just
Yeah.
just like whatever, 100 characters. You're not going to be able to tell me why I should ditch my iPhone and go buy a Samsung Galaxy, right? But you can, if I'm Samsung, I can say, okay, take everybody that searches for the most recent model of iPhone, or someone that says iPhone camera review, or iPhone 10, camera specs or something, right? And I can build a video for how that describes how much better the Galaxy camera is, or the features and benefits of the Samsung camera, and then serve that as a video, right? So now I'm in the market, I'm searching for it, right? I'm in the educational phase of the marketing funnel. And within 7 days, they can target me with a video that is rich, convincing, proof points, reviews, testimonials, what have you.
to what you're interested in that you're in that mindset of like, oh, I am looking, I'm researching a new phone.
Right.
I'm thinking to you versus cell jams, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking in this case, you could have a great ad that's like all about, the low light camera on Samsung and how it's better than Apple, yada yada yada, and it would be compelling. And
Yeah.
they don't have to be on a channel about phones. They don't have to be YouTubing for video reviews about phones. They could have just done a search within the past week.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So it's really cool. And then the other thing that came to mind as well is things that are synergistic. So we gave this example of someone wanting to buy a house, someone that's in the market to buy a house, and in a certain area, they're doing certain searches. You identify intelligently which keywords they are, and say that you are not a real estate agent, say that you're an insurance broker. And you say, okay, when someone is going to go out and buy a house, they're going to need home insurance. And then home insurance and the keywords that someone buying a house are not relevant to each other. So typically, if you run an ad against them, your quality score would be low.
Gotcha.
You'll pay a lot for keywords. You're competing in an arena that is not really yours. All the reasons why you shouldn't do it unless you have a lot of money to spend and you're doing it very strategically. But doing it through video, cost per views historically have been very, very low. You'll be able to target that individual with a very convincing message, because remember, to buy insurance from someone, there's a lot of trust, stability, all that stuff, and they can appeal to your senses that way. The other area, and that's the last example I give, but for the areas that are very expensive, like divorce law, bankruptcy law, like we're talking $60 a click. And more, being able to target those keywords in video, that's a game changer. I mean, I have not seen cost per views over $1 in my entire, digital career. Have you seen them, Tommy?
You'd have to be on some very, very specific, super aggressive, sought after real estate on YouTube.
Right. I mean, we're seeing for our clients 2 pennies, 5 pennies.
Yeah, cents.
Cents.
Wow. Yeah. A couple pennies.
Really. Yeah. So it's fairly inexpensive.
Yeah, and then just, in general with the YouTube thing, one of the trends that we've been hearing about and talking about is, the YouTube experience on TV. Right. So like Joe, you're talking about a cable experience, right? Or even, maybe even some other video experiences that you have, but it's, if the TV isn't going away, but that experience is changing. And as YouTube becomes a part of that, experience, I think viewership's going to continue to be there. And I mean, it might make it interesting if my account showing ads to my family.
Right. You'll have a lot to answer for.
Yeah,
but millennial cord cutters, though, millennials are a big part of the society now, and being able to reach them when a lot of them are cord cutters or cord nevers, like they call them. So they've never had
cord
cable.
nevers. That's funny.
Yeah. So it's a really good way to attract those individuals and appear in front of them. And again, it's not some pharmaceutical trying to broadcast a very broad message to people who probably never suffered that condition. It's laser focused based on search behavior, and, call it big data, call it whatever you want. It's relevant. I don't want to, just like you, Joe, don't want to see a pharmaceutical drug for a drug that for a condition you never have. Hey, listen, if I'm going to waste my time watching commercials, I'd rather watch commercials about fast cars or things that I'm really interested in based on my search behavior. But yeah, that's really cool. And, and I think this is growing at a time, or this is hitting the market at a time where Google's also releasing, or YouTube is releasing YouTube for Action, right? So this is what Geico piloted, where you're watching the Geico TrueView ad and you have a big green button, get a quote now, and you click it straight from the video. So, marry those two, right? Lead generation machine.
There's also been examples where the forms are actually in the YouTube experience, so you don't even have to leave.
Yes.
Right? On a mobile phone at that.
Oh, wow.
Right? So you're talking about, like, it's almost, potential to, we were able to target that person who's buying a house because they need insurance, or they're gonna need insurance, and then so we get in front of them, and then we're saying,
request a quote in the video
right now. Okay, now keep watching your video.
Right. Wow. You don't have to leave. And it's when we start talking about it this way, it's both exciting and upsetting at the same time, because there's a part of me that, we build websites, right? That's a big revenue generator for Philly Marketing Labs. And we launched one today. Imagine not being, your website, between AMP pages and Google Express shopping and now action in the YouTube video. Like, at what point does any visitor come to the website to interact with the brand? Now they're like, all the interaction is happening on a Google property. So that's the upsetting part. The exciting part is just, the whole concept. Since we've gotten into digital marketing, there was this book about Don't Make Me Click and user experience and all that. Well, it's true now. It's like, don't even take me away from the page I'm on. I want to do it right here, right now. Like, I want to be able to buy from Costco without going to Costco's website. And at the same time, I want to buy something from Walmart in the same shopping cart, one item from Costco, one item from Walmart, check out through Google Express, never visit the Costco or Walmart website, and be on my way. And all my orders in one spot.
It's madness.
It's madness. It's crazy.
There will still be, the privacy protection stuff that we see with any of our advertising, right? We're not going to be able to identify people by medical conditions, or, I highly doubt that sort of level of search will be available. I think it's going to be the safer, sort of more general type.
The policy group at Google will put their foot down. There'll be a big list of sensitive conditions that we can't go after. It's going to be similar to remarketing. I mean, if you think about it, I think remarketing is more invasive from a privacy perspective. Well, maybe it's equally as much, you know.
Yeah.
Actually, no, it's more.
Well, you can do.
All right, I retract my statement.
You can do a list that's like 365 days old, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that's, I mean,
Even longer. I
52
think it's
times.
540 now or something.
Yeah,
like
if you're
that.
talking about like website traffic,
Yeah.
visitors and stuff like that, it's like 540. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but it is more invasive. I correct myself, because with remarketing, you have to actually visit the advertiser's property to get cookied. So you have to come to my website and then I will cookie you. And now with GDPR, I have to tell you that I'm cookieing you. So it's even more protective for European folks. We care more about their privacy. But with intent targeting, you don't even have to visit a website. It's your search behavior. So it is more invasive. But we don't like to think about those things. We want people to get cookied and all that. So we can serve them relevant, interesting ads, and our clients stay happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's interesting. And you know, we do all this for conversions, right? So at the end of the day, we want people to buy, we want people to convert, to opt in, to use a store locator, to download a coupon, to come to our stores. And this idea of attribution is the mechanism through which we say we want to put our marketing dollars in marketing campaign A or medium A versus medium B, because this converts at a higher rate. And, you know, like in the olden days, we would say, oh, how many leads did you get from search versus Facebook versus organic? And then we got more sophisticated, and then we got into, you know, which campaign, and then which ad group, and then which keyword. And now what we discovered is the consumer journey is not linear anymore. Well, it's never been. We just never saw it. People would come organically, leave, do more research, refine it, come back through paid for another keyword. They may bookmark your site or remember it, come back direct, and then convert. So a typical interaction.
4 different devices.
Across multiple devices, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a very the consumer journey has gotten very complex across channels, mediums, and devices. So it's been really, really interesting. So Google has been harping on this thing called attribution, right? So what attribution model do you follow? And there's different names for them. And Google really wants you to come off of one and go on the other. So we've been talking a lot about this, and I have so we did a presentation alongside Google to one of our clients last week, and there was a pretty interesting couple slides in the deck that I borrowed to show you guys, and it explains attribution models. So I'm going to try to share my screen and show you what they look like. It's pretty cool. So check it out. So these are the main attribution models. You have last click, which what most people currently use, and Google hates it. There's first click, time decay, linear, position based, and data driven. So just to run through these very quickly. So last click, it's as simple as that. It's what was the last thing that brought you to the site to convert, or to take whatever action you took. First click is the first thing you clicked on before you started your journey that ended up having you convert. So for example, you could have come organically, then you left, you came back through a display campaign, then you came back through social, then you came back direct, and then you converted. The credit goes to the first touch point. Here it goes to the last touch point that you had. Time decay is just that. So things atrophy over time, and credit is given at like 50% for the very last thing, and then it trickles down from there towards the last 4. So credit gets given, attribution gets given heavily to the last thing you did, but we still recognize and acknowledge some of the mediums or channels that you've used before. Linear, everything is everything is quarter, 25% of the equation. So credit for a conversion goes 25% to the last 4 mediums or channels that you've used. Position-based, it's 40% for the first click, 40% for the last click, and 20% for the middle 2 clicks, so 10 and 10. So that's position based. And data driven is much more complex. It talks about the weight and the position of your ad and the value and how much you spent on it. So it's pretty convoluted, and you have very high control over it, and you have to have an eligible account. So depending on your client, you wanna pick one versus the other. And that's important, right? So think about it this way. If you're doing last click, they may have discovered you on Facebook. You could be selling a super cool kitchen gadget that people saw on Facebook first, but then they didn't want to click through the ad, or they remembered it later and then they Googled it. They searched a little bit on Amazon, then they realized you're a name brand and they typed it and they came directly to your site and they clicked on a display somewhere and purchased, right? So if you didn't give credit for the previous steps, you would shut down Facebook. You're like, oh my God, no traffic is coming from Facebook or no conversions. I'm getting a ton of traffic and no conversions from Facebook. What's up with that? We should not spend money on Facebook. So you shut it down and suddenly you have no conversions, or your conversions got cut in half, but you're like a data person, right? You looked at your reports. You didn't see any conversions coming from Facebook. So you feel justified. So, if you were doing last click, which is the majority of what people are doing, you would not be making very good decisions, because you would be blind to certain aspects of your marketing. And I think we had that happen at PML the one time. We cut one of our clients' Google shopping campaigns because we didn't see conversions coming from them. But then we saw traffic really dwindle, and then we did see a decrease of about 20% in conversions. And that was the only variable that we changed. So it's definitely convincing. Now, linear gives credit to everybody across the board. So it's a good place to start, so you can see what's participating or contributing to your conversions if you select it. If you don't know where to go, and you do know that last click is not good for you, go to linear and observe the data for a little bit to see where things end up, and then pick your next move, because this way at least you will not be ignoring some of the channels along the way.
What else you could do if you have the proper data of being imported into your accounts? There's a modeling tool that you can use to examine your current setup against these new options and see how the conversions are matching up currently as they run in your account.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a Google Analytics tool, right, Tommy?
I was speaking just about AdWords, but
okay.
Yeah, I would be shocked if there wasn't something.
Yeah, I think they have one in analytics as well. It's probably the same one.
I'm just not as familiar off the top of my head.
Yeah,
but yeah, probably right.
And then there was this slide which really resonated with me, because the bar charts are interesting, but not nearly as interesting as cocktails. So the Google rep actually used the cocktails and how they lead to a hangover to describe the attribution model. So you're at the bar, you start with a martini, you go for a beer, then you drink a wine, then you drink another beer, and then you have a hangover the next day. So when you wake up the next morning, you're like, oh, I hate my life. I'm so hungover. What should I blame this on, right? It's like, you can blame it on the very last beer, but was that really it? Or was it mixing the two, wine and beer? Or maybe was it the cocktail that was your gateway into drinking more that evening? So that's really the attribution model. It's like figuring out who to blame for your hangover. What do you think?
That's cool.
It's pretty good, right?
The chicken is intense.
That's a screenshot from the Hangover movie.
Oh, literally from the Hangover. Okay. I was like, wow, that's pretty intense. Yeah, no, that's a good one.
So I think it's good. And it's good for, we have some blue collar clients that are in manufacturing. They're not super digital savvy and that kind of thing. It's a really good way to explain the attribution models and how they work. But yeah.
It's like what's that saying? The straw that broke the camel's back.
Right.
It wasn't the last straw that did it. It was accumulation, right? It was.
That's another good example. We need a camel slide with a bunch of straws.
Drunk camel, yeah.
A drunk camel. I like it. I like it. We're gonna definitely need to do a slide on that. Cool. So what else is going on? So that's our educational segment. Tommy, I noticed the other day on your calendar you had a meeting with Spyfu.
I did.
And that was like I'm like, Spyfu. Wow.
Right?
I looked at Spyfu, what, 2008?
Yeah.
And they were like keyword research tool, Spyfu.
Yeah,
that was
I remember using them for SEO.
Yeah.
Probably like 10 years ago, it feels like.
I don't know. That's what it felt like to me too. But you know, as we always do, right? We're always looking for ways to improve our service levels and, you know, add more insights to what we're trying to do. And, you know, we work a lot within, you know, the sort of, I would call it a standard Google tool set, right? As we're doing analysis for AdWords and for websites and, you know, all that sort of thing. And, you know, one of the areas where we wanted to try to expand a little bit was to understand more about literally what are our competitors doing through search, through AdWords, that sort of thing. I think that was, you know, sort of the inspiration for me to start digging around a little bit, which led me back to Spyfu. And I say back because I don't know, if you've been in marketing, I'm sure you've touched that platform at some point, right?
Right.
So yeah, you know, I wanted to understand, you know, what benefits are there, what are the added values that insights that we don't currently have, you know, that sort of thing. So I jumped on a call, and it was pretty interesting because I think everybody understands this is a scraping service.
Right.
How else would they understand, you know, this is a keyword that somebody shows up for, you know. But as a skeptical search person, I had lots of like, this doesn't add up. I know what my budgets are. Why are you reporting this silly number? You know, these type of questions. And
so did they give you a sense for how it works? I mean, did they give you a look under the hood?
Yeah, a little bit. So I presented those type of questions. He says, well, look, here's why, right? They essentially run something like 30 million searches once a month. Okay.
One day.
I don't know if it's over one day. I think it's in a short time frame.
Okay.
But they run it essentially once a month. And now when they run these searches, they capture screenshots of every one of them as well. Right. So if you're doing an organic report, they've got a screenshot of your organic results. If you're doing an ad report, they're showing you the ad section of the page or the entire page, whatever it may be. But there's literal screenshots. You know, just it reminded me of like the Wayback Machine.
Right.
Right. Like how it has like an old sort of version.
Yeah.
It screenshots the page. So they have that to back it up, which is really interesting because you can validate, you know. But they also say they miss a lot. And it's because of the nuances with things like local search.
Right.
Where they're trying to understand things more on like the higher level, you know. It seemed like if you were trying to use it from at least from a paid search perspective for a very hyper local client, I don't know that it would give you the insights you really.
It's a national search, and they're probably searching anonymously, so there's no.
And they search from different places, and right, so there's all these different factors. How are they going to get back to the same location every time?
Right.
That would be probably really, really difficult. So he was upfront about that. Like, look, this is, you know, we're talking about national, it's general, it's 30 million queries. And the thing that resonated with me a little bit was he said, look, you know, if you're looking at a category, right, you're looking at a vertical, we're talking about refrigeration manufacturers, right? Whatever competitors we layer in there to do some domain comparisons or AdWords comparisons, whatever they may be, whatever handicap or whatever data that they're missing for us that we can validate, you can understand and apply the fact that they're missing that data for everyone else too, right? So, you know, all the local searches that we're not showing up for that we normally would be potentially or not, you know, whatever the case may be, those aren't showing up for somebody else because they just
can use it as an index. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I think that's a fair way to put it. But you know, I think there was certainly some cool, interesting pieces of data that we don't normally have at our fingertips. Because they run so many searches, they do know that some advertisers will show up and some won't. Right? And that can help you identify, well, what are they doing that we're not?
Can I give them keywords to add to their list?
So I think you can do that.
Okay.
You know, I don't know that we can dump like, here's 10,000 more keywords we want specifically. And it would probably need to be things that would be beneficial to more than just our clients, right? We'd have to be along the lines of the same type of searches. But they did say that they changed them a lot. It takes nothing to add new ones. So I said, oh, well, okay. We'll see about that.
Well, yeah, my only fear with these guys would be long tail keywords, right? Because if you think of all the keywords that they could have, how long tail are they going?
Yeah.
Because that's exponential additions to their keyword list.
Yeah. And I was setting my sort of expectations that it was not very long tail,
Right.
I mean, and by lot, I mean probably beyond 4 terms maybe or something like.
Yeah.
4 used to be
dicey.
long. I don't think that's so long necessarily.
So a quick Google search tells me Google gets about 3.5 billion searches per day. So if they're only getting 30 million, like they're getting like 1% or something like that, maybe 0.1%. Yeah.
But it's also 80% of those searches are unique, I think, and brand new to Google. Some ridiculous number like that every day.
15%.
A big 15, I think, is right.
Yeah. It's it's pretty impressive. But so tell me, what kind of data can I get out of Spyfu? So for example, let's say I'm in competition with, I don't know, xyzcopiermachines.com.
Okay.
And I sell copy machines and they sell copy machines. And I want to know, what keywords are they bidding on? How do they beat me on search? What's their budget?
And this is, one of the interesting things about it, sort of how it operates. Everything is domain focused, right?
Okay.
So that's how they pair it up. So if you're not driving your paid traffic to your website, you're not going to, they're never going to pick it up.
If I'm driving to Amazon, you mean they won't pick it up?
Facebook,
Facebook. Okay, I got you.
Some clever thing you're doing on search, right? It's not going to be associated with what you're doing because they don't have account access. They're looking at what domains have done what, right?
It's really what they're looking at is what domains are showing up for what, right? Because that's what you said it works.
Yep.
Okay.
And then they just index and organize the information. So you can supply domains to compare, and you can look at it from multiple lenses. So there's a whole organic segment too, which is familiar to us here at PML.
Yeah.
But it's like you can load up a bunch of terms, bucket them up into sort of categories, and then get a ranking of how your page is moving month to month to track your content efforts, your SEO efforts. So there was an element of that whole side of it, and then there were multiple sort of elements for paid search that you could look at, different comparisons. You can explore their keywords versus ours, theirs alone. They create Gantt charts that are interactive, so you can see where's everybody overlapping,
gotcha.
Right? If they are, and then all the different segments of overlap or not between the different domains you supply, and then
based on the keywords.
You see the ads too.
Right, but that's all based on the keywords that 30 million or something? Okay, based on the 30 million keywords that they searched for. Which is interesting because even if they don't go super long tail, even if we were to get like the broadest of the keywords in someone's account, that will still give you an idea as to the ecosystem or cluster of keywords that they're going after. And my guess is, knowing what the average cost per click is for those particular keywords, you can get a sense for how much they're spending.
Potentially, yeah. You could do some reverse engineering there. They do provide some click and cost data in the platform, but it's from the planner. So
it's from the planner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's estimates that don't take into account quality and websites and competition, not the same way that a real auction would. It's an estimate.
So what's the plan? Were you convinced? Did they sell you on it?
I had low expectations, but I think for the investment and I think for what it can bring us, even just from the paid search side alone, I think it's probably worthwhile. But I think if we start examining the organic side as well, which we know we use insights like that for content campaigns, content creation, and building websites right from the start. I think it's grown up probably a little bit over time, but I think it's interesting, and I think we'll explore it a little bit and see if there's a home for it here.
All right, maybe we can give it a shot and let's produce a report to show on our next PML
Report
team.
back. Yeah, we could do something like that.
I kind of wonder how they get away with scraping Google search results 30 million times per month. They must have a lot of VPNs or something. I don't know.
A lot of proxies.
Yeah, I don't know.
And they did say it's all United States data, though, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so they can't be using the same Romanian proxy I use.
Because he showed me an example. He said sometimes you'll see some things that like could even upset somebody.
Yeah.
But it's because they're forcing certain searches in certain locations, you know, to like test things out or whatever. Like, so he was like, he had an example. It was like a HVAC company in Colorado, right? And so obviously they're only serving people in Colorado. Well, not obviously, but it was like in Portland or something, right?
Right.
And so, but they had a keyword in their list for Texas. But it's because the system went into that area inside of Colorado and searched for something in Texas. And depending on your settings, if somebody's nearby searching AC repair, you're probably going to show up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Right, because you could be saying show my ad to those who are searching about an area, or they have to be in the area searching about the area,
or both. Yeah,
or both. Yeah, we've hit that before. That's a conversation I've had with an angry client.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Funny.
But he said that, you know, they try to. That's why some things might show up like interestingly, and I was like, oh yeah, I know why that happens now. But yeah, that's cool.
Interesting. All right.
But yeah, it was cool.
Let's give it a test drive. Let's see what comes out of it.
Yeah, we'll poke around a little bit.
Yeah, and tune in for episode 12 or 13. We'll bring you a sample report from Spyfu.
Sounds good.
Good stuff, guys. Thank you so much for participating today. For our viewers, thanks for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe and comment. Let us know what you want us to discuss on the next show. And until next time, bye.
Thanks, guys. Take it easy.
Yeah.